up, everyone? Curtis here with another episode of Everything Entrepreneurial. In this episode, I'm speaking with Alison Desmond. Alison is the founder of Desmond Consultancy, a marketing consultancy that supports small businesses and SMEs. Her services include social media management, marketing strategy, email marketing, marketing support, and much more. Alison loves speaking and sharing her knowledge about marketing, and she is a brand ambassador of The Club, which is a women's network based in Ireland. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Okay, Alison, thanks very much for coming on the podcast. Could you introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
Absolutely, Curtis. Thank you so much for having me. So as I said, my name is Alison Desmond and I am the founder of Desmond Consultancy. So basically we offer marketing support for small businesses. We offer in terms of kind of branding strategy, marketing support and social media. My business was very much based on collaborations and a collaborative approach to marketing and networking. It is I'm a massive advocate for that. And then recently I've just began a podcast myself. I had one before called the What's Next podcast, but now currently I have the Small Business podcast, which I just launched about 2 or 3 weeks ago now at the stage, which is all based on bringing small business experts on to the podcast. And it's very specific. So the first podcast I had was very interview based. This podcast is more informative based. So they kind of come on, the expert talking about something quite specific. And the idea is really that the business owner can leave the podcast and activate in their business, basically that learning. So that's kind of, I suppose, my approach to marketing, I suppose, is to make it collaborative, easy, and manageable for the small businesses.
Very good. So we're both in marketing, 2 peas in a pod. I'd like to know what made you get into marketing? Like, why did you lean into that rather than, I don't know, accounting or anything?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So I suppose I fell in love with business. It was surrounded by me from a very young age, but I suppose I didn't fall in love with it straight away. I went to 2 secondary schools. So I went from first to third year in one school and then third, sixth year for second time, or for the second period. And the first one I picked home ec over business, and home ec was not my thing. So when I was going in to the new school, I was like, not do home ec. And I looked at business, and day one just fell in love with it. It was 4th year I went into this school, so it was obviously a really great place for me to explore business. It wasn't just learning, we were actively doing things. And we actually did Junior Dragons Den, which was a competition RTE did at the time, and we got through to a certain level of that. It didn't get on TV, but we got to just before that, that I really fell in love with business at that stage. I suppose in terms of marketing, it was a really interesting, I suppose I found it the most fun, I suppose, in that process. It's not something that I don't agree with this, but it's not something that I feel is explored very well in secondary school, in the business module. I always would have said kind of management and accounting would have taken over. Marketing would have been the least one that would have been, I suppose, covered. So I'm not a risk taker, especially back then. So when I was doing this CEO, I was kind of saying, do I decide to go straight into marketing and kind of take the risk, or do I go into general business? So I actually went into general business, which actually I think everyone should. I think when you go into marketing, obviously the marketing course is fantastic, but what I loved about this was that I got an understanding of business as a whole, and how marketing fit into that. So the 3 areas of the business course was marketing, management, and accounting. So we got to explore all 3, which I thought was really, really important. And then I got to specialize. So I specialized in year 3. It wasn't a big decision. I kind of knew marketing was always probably the way I was going to go, just out of pure feeling, I suppose, more than anything. And I suppose I'm a people person, Curtis, as well. And I kind of felt the marketing kind of satisfied those needs a bit. Yeah. The marketing I wanted to do was kind of networking, collaboration, events, PR side of things. I felt that kind of was where I would kind of flourish in business. Yeah. So I specialized in marketing. As it wasn't a big decision. Went into the placement in the Irish Guide Dogs here in Cork, and again just kept reiterating how much I loved it. I suppose really everything I did, I was like, no, this is the path for me. And then graduated in 2019, and then kind of had a bit of an experience, I suppose, of was a bit lost. I think after college, I suppose I had such high expectations of what I wanted to do, but didn't know where I wanted to flourish in the industry, I suppose. And I knew I didn't want it to be something, I wanted to kind of create my own path with it. I didn't really want to go into the conventional route, which is nothing wrong with it, but that wasn't what I wanted. So kind of explored that, and then COVID came. And it was the making of me, actually, to be honest. I in a bizarre way, it was a very dark time for people, and I definitely had my dark times throughout those 18 months as well. But it was a place I kind of found my rhythm a bit, and I got the space to kind of play with my craft a bit, and kind of being able to, I suppose, upskill even more. I had my qualification, but as and I know that's where I started. But that's it's not, and I learned that as well. I kind of thought I was sorted. I know everything about marketing. I certainly didn't. And I don't think anyone ever does, because such a fast-paced industry that you're constantly learning, and I love that. That makes the whole thing exciting. So it was an experience of kind of, I suppose, the business side, and then finding the areas of the business I really wanted to flourish in, which was marketing at the time.
And very lucky, I suppose, the way it came out for you, because when you're starting your own business, you wear many hats, and you had that experience, that knowledge of what it's actually like in the other sides of business, accounting, management. So then when you did specialize in marketing, you were ready to go, you were more prepared, I suppose. So that's kind of a blessing.
It is a blessing, and I think it should be approached not whether you work for yourself or you work in a corporate situation. You need to understand where does this fit in, to everything. And I think us marketers, I have seen, we think we're the only people sometimes. One of the things, we're not. There's so many other aspects of it. You know what I mean? We think but we're not the main focus. We're aspect, and we are an element of it. But I think it's very important to see, and even the likes of, and I know this is part of marketing, Curtis, but even the likes of customer service, that aspect, respecting the customer, understanding the customer, the experience of the customer, that comes from marketing, but also comes to the management piece as well. That everyone is kind of, the systems are in place as well. I've worked with a lot of kind of people in operations, both in the States here and in Ireland, and I don't think there's enough of a tie between operations and marketing. I think that goes hand in hand together. You need systems in place to allow for a customer to experience positively with the brand, which goes with the marketing. So I think that was a really good blessing, as you said, for me at the time, that I didn't see, but now I see now.
Yeah. So tell us, anyway, I know you started out during COVID, but what was it like? Like, how did you get your first client on board? Were you nervous? Were you scared? Tell us all about it.
It kind of started really, really interesting, because I actually started with the first podcast. So I was doing an internship at the time. There was this, I saw this online, week 1 of COVID, and I was like, I'll take the internship. So I was playing around with the internship, and I was learning, and it was a woman in the States and in Boston, and she was brilliant, and she taught me a lot of things I'm actually using now. But I started with the podcast. It was one evening, I just found the whole experience of leaving college really, really tough, to be honest. I was so kind of focused to the next stage, and then it was like, what is the next stage? So the podcast started first, and that kind of got me in, I suppose, people's minds a bit, of who this girl was and what she was doing. So I kind of, in hand started the marketing page, and then within that I had the podcast. So it started very organically as a marketing page. And then it kind of grew. I never advised this to anyone, but just the way it happened, it kind of grew organically a bit, where I kind of felt I was being known for marketing. My social media was kind of going up. I was getting engagement, people I didn't know were coming up to me. I see you on Instagram, and that was kind of a moment, and I kind of just saw things kind of happening. And it all happened really naturally. I mean, and for me, I was very lucky. I was very, very lucky, I suppose, the time that I had that. I remember I was I'm from Cork, and I met friends over COVID in a park. We're all social distancing, so there's nothing broken, but we were in the park, and we're all social distancing, and it was the summer last year. And I remember these girls that I knew, they were like, oh my God, I've seen your podcast. They're not in marketing at all. And I was like, oh, this is actually being seen now. And then that kind of happened organically. Now I have to give a shout to Shan. Like, Shan was a great mentor of mine. We live just, there we go. We live literally like near each other. We're so close. She's up the road from me. We're very close. And I was actually on live with her this morning, and we were talking about that, it was her support, Curtis, that I think got me to the place I am, because we were talking about, like, saying the mindset of it, and you talked about how did you feel, and that kind of insecurity of it. That was her kind of giving me the pep talk, and like, you can do this, like, you're well able to do this. And that to me was priceless, because it was someone who has been through business, who has there's ups and downs, and I thought everything would just go like, I wasn't naive. I probably was actually naive going into it, but I think I was a bit, when something kind of negative happens, you take it to heart. And I had to learn that is just not the way. You can't live like that. You know what I mean? So it was the mindset piece for me was the biggest piece that could have brought me down with it, and that could have stopped me doing it. But having someone to kind of look at it from an outside perspective, but also someone who knew me, and I've worked with her on different projects since, she got how I worked it and what I was about. So I think that for me was really, really special. And for me, we spoke about that before we came on, the networking piece, it is something that I think, again, everything I did was very organic. And I'm not against anything paid. I think they're fantastic friends. I know you do it like this, but for me, the organic route should be part of the strategy, because I think that there's, I was saying to someone yesterday, like, people are paying for ads, again, great results to them, right? But people don't see the value of even you and me talking here today, me talking about my business and you talking to me about yours. There's value in that.
Yeah.
And I don't think people see that as much. They see ads, pay. Go for that, but don't forget this part. Don't forget that personal relationship. And I think that, to me, I networked. I when I started out, in the States, I was networking people. I was, I made connections in like California, where I was literally kind of seeing these people. I really like what they did, and I was like, can we have a coffee chat online? They're like, and Americans love that. Like, they love that. They love that networking piece, and I think that, to me, allowed me to make that network. And to me, that was really, really special, because I was able to talk, and it wasn't about selling. It was just about, I know this person, she's a great pocket, you go on it. I know someone here, actually, over here, you can go on. And it was more that, but it allowed me to say, okay, if someone needs X here, I have that person to go to. So for me, it was, and I suppose I had the privilege of time, lockdown. I started this quite early on in lockdown. So I was able to, there was nothing happening, as you know, there was nothing happening, and things were very, were very quiet, and just in terms of life. So it was a time that I think I can't get over my luck with that, actually, because I don't think about too much, but the luck of that, having that time and having no pressure in terms of, having to go, I had the whole time just to kind of do this, was really, really special. And I think that what I would say to people, if people listening that are thinking about starting their business, we're still in that kind of limbo a small bit. There's no harm in starting something now, in the evenings, in the weekend, and just start doing your research. You know what I mean? But I was very privileged at the time, I have to say.
And just in relation to learning, I know we touched base on it earlier on, but how important is learning to you, and not only marketing, because it's evolving constantly, but business? Do you do any self-improvement? Like, how do you keep expanding and growing, I suppose, as a person?
Like absolutely. Like, a big thing for me is listening. Listening to other business owners' kind of thought process. That's one thing that I think is a really easy thing to do, is to not have that kind of tunnel vision, is, I suppose, open to opinions. So if I have an opinion on something in terms of business, and I hear someone else's, to take that on board and kind of say, oh, that's really, really interesting thought. I never thought of that. Changing the mindset. So that's the first thing, I think, is listening and opening your mind to new ideas. And that's something that can be done very, very easily. And the second thing is, I've joined networks. So with the club, we do training once a month. We have deep dives into businesses. I follow them on Instagram, and I get trainings on that. So for me, it's about, I suppose, understanding that aspect of it, and learning in terms of business, as you said, not just marketing. And then I think is what other things I do is I articles and social media, and seeing improvements in that. But it's actually something, Curtis, that I think something I really want to work on in the end of this year, is having a day of it, is because I think, to me, it's so important. Like, I listen to podcasts when I have the business experts on, I'm learning, so to me, I'm not a great sit down and reader. I'm not great at that. It's not my forte, to be honest. I'm more of a mover. So I'm listening to podcasts, or I'm listening to people. And I think, to me, when, especially the area of marketing I'm in, it's very much about customer behavior, communication. It's very much about kind of the psychology of the consumer. And I think the best psychology and the best learning of human beings is listening to them. So whether that's listening to Oprah talking about something, or it's listening to Shan talking about something, they're talking about people. And I think that to me is a great asset for the type of marketing I do. It is learning, I suppose, the thought processes of that. Because we have to understand, and when you're doing marketing for any business, it's the pain point, it's psychology, it's the research of that consumer. And as you know, I was listening to a podcast ages ago, and it was about it was actually Emily Blunt was talking about acting, and she was saying she just watches people, and she takes them. With Devil Wears Prada, there's a line that's in it from something she saw in New York City, a child talking to her mother or something. And I was like, that's what marketing should be. It should be seeing what people are doing, how they're buying, how they're consuming information. So to me, that's the research. But as you mentioned, I think it's something that I would love to put more time into, because I think we can get easily distracted by that. We can be very kind of in the moment, which is sometimes you need to be, but you do need to constantly be looking at the next thing, which is very, very important.
Yeah, definitely. And just to switch it up a little bit now, I know my podcast is all about entrepreneurship and business and stuff like that, but I feel like entrepreneurship is much more than like your business. It's almost, I don't want to say like a lifestyle, but like you have to look at the other aspects of your life, like downtime, chilling out, family, friends. Like, did you struggle with any of that stuff, or was it quite balanced?
No, it wasn't balanced. It wasn't balanced. No, that's not for it all. It's something I'm still working on. I think I'm a bit addicted to it. Which I suppose is it's a lovely thing to say, wake up because I love what I do, I suppose that's you don't have to be kind of spending hours and hours on it. You have to take a break. This was the point I'm making. And I think for me, it's been a balance of that. I'm definitely getting better at boundaries. I think boundaries is a massive thing with it. I think that is something that I've learned, but it's a constant thing. It's not something for me personally that you kind of say, right, my boundaries are in place now, it's fine. You constantly have to revisit the boundaries and just evaluate them. Are they being disrespected? Are they, and all that. So for me, I'm still in that process of it. And I think that it's something that I have learned to be aware of. And I'm definitely better than I was. I really, really am. But it was very difficult to have a downtime with COVID for me, because there's nothing else to do. You know what I mean? I didn't want to just watch TV or, it wasn't. So I prefer to be able to do research or try this thing or try something else. It just worked out better for me. So I think for me, what I found most difficult, and I actually do agree with you, it is a lifestyle. Like my friends who were, 9 to 5, I was up to 1 o'clock yesterday doing the website, you know what I mean? But and I didn't have that on that Thursday night, 1 o'clock in the morning, but I just wanted to do it, you know what I mean? So it's a lifestyle I like, because I love the flexibility of it and I love being able to meet people. So to me, I'm very, very happy in it. But I do agree with you that it is, to me, it's what makes someone successful and not successful is their mindset in business. And I could easily see how mindset could stop you from doing things, because it could have easily happened to me. I had very good support around me on it. But I think you're spot on. I think it has to be balanced, because whether we love something or not, we need a break from it. You know what I mean? Yes. It's just human nature. We need a break. And I think that it's something that I'm an advocate for, because I have put things in place, and Shanna's a massive advocate for that. I mean, if anyone's looking for sort of like work-life balance, go to her page, because she does it really, really well. But that took time, and it takes time for people to get into that kind of what works for them. And you can take elements of people, and I certainly do. I like that concept of taking X morning off or whatever it is, but it's about what works for you and your lifestyle and your productivity. When do you flourish? If you flourish in the evening, then start later in the day. It's trying to figure out the balance, which I think is vital.
Very good. So if any Irish business owners, well, not even Irish business owners, any business owners who are looking to get in touch with you, you do marketing strategy. Could you tell us a little bit about your services and then where people can find you?
Yeah, so there's a few different options. I do hourly sessions with people that just want to kind of get a bit of, an understanding of something. And then I do strategic marketing sessions, which I put them in a strategic direction, making sure that they have their messaging right and all that aspects. And then I have kind of more long-term, I suppose, support then as well. So social media marketing support, collaboration outreach and all that. So there's different aspects to it. But I suppose my biggest thing for me is the social media, the organization of social media is a massive aspect, and marketing marketing in general. I know I've created a model to organize their marketing, because I just think that's the biggest thing for businesses, is that they can get all the, this course and this course, but how do I put it all together and how do I put in part of my week? So how people can contact me is there's probably two best ways. Instagram at Desmond Consultancy is probably the easiest. And then if they want to contact me on email, is desmondconsultancy@gmail.com.
Brilliant stuff. Well, Alison, once again, thanks very much for taking your time out your day to have a chat with us. I really appreciate it. And I wish you all the best, and I'll keep in touch.
Thanks, Curtis.